this is more or less the picture now, but when we were thinking about our own sustainable development goals back in 2008, the horizon that we decided upon was 2026 or 2026. It might sound weird, 2026, but at that time there was a lot of territorial planning going on, and all these territorial plans had 2026 as a horizon. So we decided to, to follow the same perspective. So about envisioning, when we created the strategy for the sustainable development of Catalonia, and we departed from a very general vision, which said Catalonia must continue to be a region in Europe in which everyone has the right to live in a sustainable and healthy environment, to enjoy, this is not a very good translation, to enjoy natural resources and the landscape in conditions of equality. It would not be enjoy, but the Catalan verb is very difficult to translate. It could be maybe used positively. I wouldn't know how to translate it. And C, to be protected from all forms of pollution. We said sustainability is a precondition for justice between generations and an imperative for global justice. Then in other policy processes, such as the process to produce the green economy strategy for Catalonia, we had similar visions, so I'm not going to go through it. Now, about how we engage relevant stakeholders in citizenship, we chose another policy process to offer you a scope of policy processes, not only one. This was the participation strategy for the adaptation strategy, adaptation to climate change. I will not go through it. It was just for you to see the typology of participation. So we normally create what we call interdepartmental commission, which is the commission with all the different departments in the Catalan government. We also have always an intra-departmental commission, which is a commission within our own department. We always have the possibility to have online proposals from citizenships. We normally have one session or several sessions, or a body coordinating the participation of local authorities. And then we have what we call spaces of participation. Spaces, that means because we move to different parts of Catalonia to discuss with people from the north, from the south, from the center of Catalonia, which might have different priorities than people living in Barcelona, because we are like a little bit of a difference in Catalonia. And for this adaptation strategy, they created also some expert committees. And these committees were from, let's say, the priority economic sectors that had to be adapted. So, needed adaptation, like health, energy, transport, tourism, very important tourism. Not only summer tourism, but also winter tourism, which is important for climate change adaptation. And for the strategy for the sustainable development of Catalonia, we also had an advisory council with different social, economic stakeholders. Now, maybe before that, saying that it was rather complex to make people think about the horizon 2026. People thought it was very far, and it was not easy for them to actually think in those terms. And it was especially difficult setting the quantitative goals. Thank you. So when we articulated the vision into a framework, what came out was the Sustainable Catalonia 2026, which is very similar to what Wales has done. We started working on that in 2008, and it was approved by the government in 2010. And we had 7 pillars, what we call pillars. Catalonia, a biodiverse territory with cities and towns. Catalonia, efficient in the use of energy and in climate action. Catalonia moves with intelligence. Eco-efficient, competitive and innovative Catalonia. Catalonia consumes wisely. Civic, inclusive, caring, healthy and safe Catalonia. And then participative Catalonia with close links to the community. So we had a short description for each pillar, just as Wales did. Sorry. So from there, we developed, so we had the pillars that we called the strategic axis. Now from the axis we developed strategic lines, and then from the lines we developed goals. This is an example of a goal. It's an environmental goal. It is very concrete. It goes very much to the point. It's not a very general objective. It's very specific. It says, for example, reduce municipal solid waste generation to 1.22 kilograms inhabitant a day. So we tried very hard to set goals for 2020, like quantitative goals, which was not easy all the time. And we worked with 3 scenarios. The, well, it says the trend, which was the business as usual, what would happen if nothing was done. The reference scenario, which was the scenario taking into consideration our legislation at that moment. And a third scenario, which we call the sustainable scenario. So we had 101 indicators, 49 of those were quantitative indicators, and for quantitative indicators, for each of them, we had the 3 scenarios. Now, in 2011, more or less, we started the reviewing, and we realized of the need to simplify the structure, which was kind of complex. So we simplified a little bit the structure, and governance, for example, became a cross-cutting issue more than a pillar. We also updated each of the strategic axes, having into consideration new trends and emerging issues, such as green jobs, for example. And we focused very much on effective communication, because we realized that those graphs with the 3 scenarios were sometimes difficult to communicate. And this is the way we did the indicators for the second time. We realized that in some cases actually the sustainable indicator had been overcome. Let's say that we had achieved what we had marked as sustainable for 2026 before. So this was a case of residential water consumption. Now there are many reasons for that. Now, first of all, you know that in 2008 the economic crisis started very strongly in Catalonia and in Spain in general. At the same time, there was a big drought, and a lot of campaigns, educational campaigns, were started to get people safe water. And at the same time, the price of water increased. So you had all this context of economic crisis, prices which increase, and educational campaigns made actually the consumption of water went down very substantially, which was a very good surprise for us. Of course, not everything was good. Also taking into consideration the economic crisis, some social indicators worsened, such as, for example, the people at risk of poverty. And, well, other indicators did more or less well, such as green employment, which seems to remain quite stable in spite of the crisis. So, just saying that we, having all these indicators in mind, we are contributing to the SDGs process, and Catalonia is participating very actively in the UN process. We were actually in the negotiations that took place maybe 3 weeks ago about indicators. Mireia was there, maybe you saw her. And now, last week, Marta Subirà was there for the means of implementation. And so, internally, what we are trying to do is, okay, so we have the framework that the UN is proposing, which is very ambitious. So we, as a northern region, so what can we do with these goals? Can we measure them? So internally, we are actually trying to fit the information that we have with what the UN is doing to see how well we would do if this was finally approved. This is a very interesting exercise because we are considered to be a northern region, although we always say that we are the north of the south and the south of the north. So sometimes we have problems to find indicators to measure some of your targets. So we imagine what would happen with other southern regions. I would like to encourage you all to invite people from the south of Europe to your conferences, and also people from the global south, Latin America. And well, that's all I had to say. Thank you very much.